Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video, we take a second look at the new trailer for Bendy and the Dark Revival, as we break down the finer details and theorize as to what both this new story and gameplay mechanics may bring. Rather than go through the trailer frame by frame, I will instead break this analysis into sections, which examine points of interest and things you may have missed. So sit back, relax, and let's deep dive into the latest trailer for Bendy and the Dark Revival. Something that you may have missed in this trailer was the inclusion of Archgate Pictures, and this actually allows us to place a time frame to the story of this game, suggesting it takes place after the death of Bendy creator Joey Drew and far after the events of the original Bendy and the Ink Machine. Archgate Pictures is a studio owned by CEO Nathan Arch, who gives an introduction to the Bendy comic book collection Crack Up Comics. This introductory message is dated 1972. What's interesting about this introduction is that Nathan explains how he purchased the rights to Joey Drew's estate, including the Bendy franchise, presumably after Joey passed away. This would mean that the events of Dark Revival are almost certainly based in the 1970s, with the events of Bendy and the Ink Machine taking place in 1963. It would mean that around 10 years have passed since Henry braved the studio and encountered the Ink Demon. As we go through this video, you'll notice several Easter eggs that tie directly back to Joey Drew's apartment and confirm this theory. It also seems after Joey's passing, Nathan Arch made a film dedicated to his legacy titled Joey Drew, The Man and the Demon, which we see advertised on these banners. Audrey is a mysterious character, but we can theorize as to her place in the story when looking not only to the content of the trailer, but also an additional screenshot found on the Joey Drew Studio website. Audrey is an animator at Joey Drew Studios, now under the ownership of Archgate Pictures. We see her drawing a familiar frame of animation in this shot here. This frame can be found in the short film Cheap Seats, a Bendy cartoon first directed by Joey Drew in the 1940s. As evidence suggests that the story takes place long after that decade, we can surmise that Nathan Arch went about remastering certain cartoon episodes after acquiring the franchise from his old friend. In fact, Nathan references his plans to archive Joey's masterworks in the Bendy comic collection. When looking at this screenshot, we get a clearer view of Audrey's workspace and can pick up on a few notable sights. The first is this framed award which has been given to Audrey for being Employee of the Month. It seems Audrey works long hours for the studio, and her hard work did not go unnoticed. This explains why she is working alone at the studio when everyone else has gone home for the night.
Another late night, another crazy deadline. You can do this, Audrey.
The second point of interest is this framed picture. Feel familiar? Avid Bendy fans will recognise this picture as the one that Henry drew for his old pal Joey, a picture we see framed and hung on the wall of Joey's apartment during the final moments of the original game. In this moment, we also hear a child's voice.
Tell me another one, Uncle Joey.
This little girl is hinted to be Henry's daughter, though this is unconfirmed, visiting her Uncle Joey, who used to regale her of tales of his storied career. The fact we now see this picture hanging beside Audrey's desk strongly suggests that she may in fact be the little girl now grown up. If Dark Revival is set roughly a decade after the events of Ink Machine, and Audrey was 10 years old at the time, then she would now be in her early 20s, which fits her appearance in this trailer. This connection may also have been the driving force for her to pursue a career in animation herself, now unwittingly stumbling into the same fate as her father. One of the creepiest characters to emerge from this trailer is surely Wilson, who, based on his attire, seems to be a janitor working the night shift at the studio. Wilson proclaims to have banished the Ink Demon Bendy.
Children of the machine, for 211 days you've lived without the Ink Demon haunting your steps. I banished him away, In return, I ask just a little favor. There is a stranger. Bring her to me.
We see evidence to support his claim on this poster inside the inky world of Joey Drew Studios, which states, "Wilson knows your purpose, the man who killed the Ink Demon." If Wilson had a run-in with the Ink Demon, it may explain the scar on his face, a scar which seems to have left him blind in one eye. But how is Wilson connected to this inky world while simultaneously existing in the real one? Well, here is where another connection to Joey Drew's apartment comes into play. We catch a brief glimpse of the ink machine from Joey's home behind Wilson as he interrogates Audrey, once again confirming that Nathan Arch inherited Joey's estate as he claimed in the book. While it is hard to come to a concrete conclusion based on the finite information currently on hand, my personal theory is that Wilson used his time after hours at the studio, when he should have been mopping floors, to tinker with the ink machine and create experiments of his own, ruling over the creatures within the inky world like a god and orchestrating all manner of chaos. He uses Audrey as a human guinea pig, transforming her into an inky cartoon creation and trapping her inside the machine where she can meet a sticky end. But why? Wilson promises to keep Bendy at bay if the monsters of the machine track down Audrey. There's no way of knowing why he wishes for Audrey's demise, but I feel it may be as simple as him having a dislike for her. Audrey is seen as the studio's golden child, while Wilson is a lowly janitor. Could it simply be that he feels a deep jealousy and hatred toward Audrey, born from her accomplishments and connection to the legendary Joey Drew and Henry Stein? Another possibility is that Wilson senses potential in Audrey. We know for a fact that Audrey has supernatural powers in this game, so Wilson may wish to harness these powers and use Audrey for his own selfish and egotistical gain. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Either way, it appears that Wilson is something of a mad doctor character, a puppeteer who may have the ability to shift between the realm of ink and man with ease, and influence the cartoon world and its inhabitants while doing so. Two characters I'm sure we're all happy to see return are the unhinged Alice Angel and fiery yet heroic Allison. Alice is only given a brief moment in the spotlight during this trailer, manically firing her Tommy gun during this sequence. Because the new game is dubbed The Dark Revival, it suggests that this world has been reborn after Henry managed to end the Ink Demon's reign during the conclusion of Ink Machine, trapping him in a never-ending loop in the process. Wilson may have been the catalyst to break the cycle and recreate the studio so events can finally continue. With this dark revival, it seems characters who previously perished, such as Bendy and Alice, have now been reborn. This also leads us to speculate if we may encounter other fan favourites such as Boris and even Henry himself. It would certainly make for a fantastic story if Audrey is Henry's daughter and manages to save her estranged father while trying to escape this inky nightmare. Allison meanwhile continues her role as a guardian angel, though her partner in crime Tom is nowhere to be seen. Allison is seen helping Audrey come to terms with her new look and powers in the following clip, in addition to explaining the Ink Demon's hazardous presence.
I'm not gonna hurt you. Looked like you needed some help.
Don't touch me!
Above everything else, stay away from the Ink Demon.
What's an ink demon?
He likes to smile, and he kills anything that moves.
It is also worth noting that we see a brief shot of this lost one pinned to the wall with a gent pipe shoved through his stomach. Not only is it likely that this is the pipe Audrey acquires for her adventure, it also occurred to me that this may be the work of Allison. We see the text "Demon Follower" painted beside this corpse, and knowing Allison and her hatred for the demon and all that tread his inky path, it seems plausible she may be making an example of anyone who chooses to walk with demons. It would certainly fit nicely with her savage warrior persona. This time round there are not only two angels but also two Bendys. Way back in the early days of this channel, when covering the story of Bendy and the Ink Machine chapter by chapter, I theorised that there may be a perfect Bendy, a version of a character who matched up to his cartoon counterpart. It seems while that didn't play out in the story of the original game, this concept has come to life in the Dark Revival, and to be honest, it makes a lot of sense. Demon Bendy was born from the experiments conducted by the Gent Company, Thomas Connor, and from the mind of Joey Drew. He was a failed monstrous experiment, locked away and discarded by Joey, as we learn in the book Dreams Come to Life. Joey always intended for Bendy to mimic the version audiences around the world love to watch on their TV screens. Joey's end goal was to create a theme park known as Bendyland, which would be full of living cartoon mascots. This led him down a dark path of corruption and insanity as he used his very employees as human test subjects. It seems after Joey's departure, the Gent Company continued his shady science experiments and eventually managed to perfect the process of bringing cartoon creations to life. This explaining the cute and lovable baby Bendy we see on screen now. While his place in the story is currently unknown, I imagine this pint-sized hero will join Allison in aiding Audrey's escape from her inky prison. Whatever his role may be, it appears as though this baby Bendy has been restrained, as he is found locked within this room playing with a toy train, suggesting he is very valuable to whoever created him, and they wish to keep him safe and secure. Of course, Demon Bendy returns too, and his revival certainly looks to be decidedly dark. We only glimpse his silhouette and a quick shot here of his mangled hand, but even from these teasers it is obvious his form is more twisted and terrifying than that seen in the first installment. Spines protrude from his shoulders, his gloves are torn. This Ink Demon is not the same beast we dealt with during Henry's journey back in 1963. We've now looked through the main cast of characters, but there are a host of others both new and old on show in this new trailer. The Butcher Gang return and look scarier than ever before, their designs now refined and animations more ferocious. This inky text may also suggest a fourth member of the gang is waiting in the wings. The Lost Ones make a comeback too, this time far more detailed with both male and female variants. One of the Lost Ones can be heard shouting the following dialogue.
God wants you!
This line suggests that denizens of the studio know who Audrey is and want her to leave immediately. Whether this is simply because Wilson has unleashed the Ink Demon and promises not to banish him until Audrey is dealt with, or perhaps these creatures are aware of her connection to Joey and Henry, two men feared in this world, though both for very different reasons. We are also introduced to a friendly Lost One who Audrey appears to save from a hole in the floor. This could be a new character who aids Audrey through the story in the same way as Allison and Perfect Bendy. Or perhaps it's an NPC who we can help out in return for rewards along the way. Think of these as optional side quest characters to seek out off the beaten path. Next, we have this doll-like character who seems to be part inky humanoid and part machine, wearing a mechanical mask as she politely catches Audrey up on goings-on around the studio.
Almost everyone here either can't speak or they're completely mad.
This mechanical doll introduces what appears to be a new enemy type, a woman madly rocking back and forth in the shadows. Though it is also possible this is simply the silhouette of a female Lost One. In this shot, Audrey picks up a baseball with the name Bud Lewis scrawled across its surface. This could be a reference to Daniel Buddy Lewick, the protagonist of the Bendy novel Dreams Come to Life, who met an inky end during the conclusion of the story and found himself trapped inside the cartoon world as a Boris clone. Finally, we have this hulking monstrosity, who I have simply labelled the Brute. A giant walking mass of ink who seems to have derived from the searcher enemy types seen in the original game, who we also briefly glimpse in this trailer. The Brute seems to be able to smash through walls and picks up fallen debris such as vent plates, timber and gears as it does so. Maybe defeating these beasts will provide items required to progress through the studio, such as cogs for electrical boxes. Now we've covered all of the new story details and characters found in the trailer for the Dark Revival, let's take a quick look at some general gameplay mechanics I spotted along the way. Firstly, we have the ability to scavenge for supplies, just as we did in spin-off game Boris and the Dark Survival. Audrey can open drawers and cupboards around the studio, and some of these seem to contain schematics which I assume will feed into the weapon upgrade mechanic on display in this shot here. By collecting up the correct parts, we will be able to enhance the gent pipe and strengthen it, allowing Audrey to access new areas of the studio and better protect herself against the monstrous onslaught of enemies lying in wait around every corner of this inky realm. Furthermore, we see Audrey seems to have some new powers of her own. In this sequence, she performs a ground slam on an unfortunate lost one, while in this shot she seems to electroshock a searcher and absorb its life force. The final topic to discuss are the environments themselves. One of the most striking aspects of these environments is that they seem to look far more run down and dilapidated than the ones seen in the story of Bendy and the Ink Machine, once again suggesting a passing of time and a dark revival of this world at the hands of Wilson. Familiar locales return, such as the iconic Heavenly Toys workshop seen here. There are also many new locations such as employee recreation rooms, a stately manor, and even a market strip, containing all manner of stores and even a bowling alley. When we think back to Bendy and the Ink Machine, we remember Henry engaged in a number of amusement park minigames during the 4th chapter, so it seems like Audrey may get to partake in a game of bowling, whether that simply be for fun or as part of a puzzle. We also see the return of those life-saving miracle stations, though enemies are now far more aggressive, trying to rip the door off its hinge as Audrey manages to escape inside. And with that, we come to the end of this analysis and breakdown of the new trailer for Bendy and the Dark Revival. The game is scheduled to launch on November 15th, so we won't have to wait too long for answers to some of the questions raised in this video. Stay tuned, as I will be recording a full playthrough for those who wish to watch rather than play, and then creating some theories and story explained content around the game thereafter. But for now, we have come to the end of today's video, and I hope you found it both entertaining and informative. If you did, then remember to leave a like, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more horror related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.